Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 of how I built my own home studio. First, let's recap. When I left you last, I had just finished putting up the structure which you see here. The structure was a little bit flimsy, so I took to YouTube, and upon watching some videos, I had determined I needed to secure the pipes to the joints. Also, if you notice those openings at the end of those joints, it was some comments said that they were getting echoes out of those openings. So I needed to come up with a solution, to remedy that situation. And I needed something that was budget friendly. So here's what I came up with. Good old electrical tape. I took some electrical tape and I secured each pipe to each joint all the way around the booth as you see here. And I also did the bottom, which I'll be later adding some sandbags as weights to help it be even more stabilized. I haven't did the top yet, but that's the reason for me having this ladder, so I'll be able to get up there and add some electrical tape to secure the top part of this vocal booth. And it works pretty well. Now there is something you could buy if you want to use something more permanent, like some PVC glue, which I have here. But being that this is a 5-foot wide structure and the opening is 2 feet wide, simple mathematics tells me if I needed to move this, I wouldn't be able to get it out of the entry. So using electrical tape makes it easy for me to disassemble this structure if I should need to. Now let's work on the enclosure. Now for the enclosure, I'll be using 12 of these moving blankets that I purchased off eBay, and they're also sound absorbent. I'll also need some other items so I can hang these blankets. I'll be using these metal shower curtain rods as well as this grommet kit that you see here. There'll be a few other tools I'll be using, and I'll show you that in a moment. Now these blankets are very budget friendly, and I'll be adding that link below as well as to everything else I've used. Now let's begin. As you see, I have my ruler here. I have my grommets and my grommet tool. Now this grommet kit came with 100 grommets to it, and it cost me less than $6 for that, and I actually purchased 2 just to make sure I had enough grommets for the 12 blankets I would be using for the enclosure. Now I measure these grommets about 8 inches apart, but you need to first put a hole in the fabric, and I'll be using my trusty little screwdriver you see here. Now they make a tool with a bulb that's similar to this, but this works just fine. So I'm going to put a hole here in the fabric because I need to prepare it to add my grommet. Now the hole isn't quite big because it's a small screwdriver, so I'm going to widen that hole by using my small scissors. I don't want to tear it, just widen it. And to stretch that hole even bigger, I'll be using my pen, so it's about the size of that grommet. This pen will stretch this hole big enough for this grommet to fit through. Again, you don't want to tear the fabric, just stretch the fabric. So if you're using the scissors, don't push it all the way through or you'll tear it. Now I'm going to push the grommet through the fabric here, and then I'm going to take the tool, add another grommet for the other side of the fabric, and I'm going to squeeze and affix it to the blanket, as you see here. It looks really good. Here's a top view of that. Now to hang the blankets. Now I've just finished hanging that first row of sound absorbing blankets, and I've hung them on the inside of the structure, as you see here. That's why you can still see the pipes. I will be adding a second row on the outside. It's looking pretty good. I'm also going to be adding a blanket over the opening of this closet to prevent any echo from coming out of there. And there's those metal shower curtain hooks in action. I'll be adding these fairy lights along the top part of the inside of the booth once I've completed adding all the rows of blankets. Now for the pre-sound test. I'm gonna see if you can tell the difference of how it sounds. I'm on the outside of the vocal booth. I'm on the outside. I'm speaking, 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 and see how your voice becomes more condensed inside, because these acoustic blankets keeps the voice from bouncing around and keeps it inside. That's what you want. And that's even with this, blanket being open some, and I don't even have the top yet. Can't put the top on until I finish doing the second layer, which will be on the outside. Okay guys, that does it for part 2 of how I built my own home studio. In the next video, I'll show the enclosure completion and some other things I did to sound treat that room. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Blessings. Another day, another sunrise, and my reflection reveals the frustration of the pain that's hidden in my eyes. Just another common reaction to another earful of Satan's lies. But I've chosen this lifestyle on my own, a wayward child out in the wilderness, feelings of emptiness, moments of craziness, and even when others are around, sometimes I still feel alone. And these chains